The courtroom fell into a deathly silence as Judge Judy and Chief Justice John Roberts took their seats on the elevated bench, their eyes fixed on Senator John Kennedy, standing tall in the defendant's chair. The air was thick with anticipation, every whisper and shuffle stifled, as the nation watched live on C-SPAN, hanging on to every moment of this unprecedented legal showdown. The two most formidable figures in American justice, Judge Judy, the sharp-tongued television icon, and Chief Justice Roberts, the stoic guardian of the Supreme Court, had joined forces in a spectacle that promised to reshape the political landscape. They thought they had Kennedy, the quick-witted senator from Louisiana, cornered in a legal trap designed to end his career and send a chilling message to any politician daring to challenge the establishment. But what happened next would leave the nation stunned as Kennedy, with his trademark Southern charm and razor-sharp intellect, prepared to turn the tables in a way no one saw coming. Before we dive into this electrifying story, drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button to stay locked in for every jaw-dropping moment that's redefining American politics right before our eyes. This wasn't just a trial. It was the moment a seasoned senator took on the full weight of the judicial establishment and fought back with a brilliance that would echo for years. Judge Judy, at 81, was a television legend whose no-nonsense courtroom style had made grown men tremble and liars crumble for over 2 decades. Her catchphrase, "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining," was a cultural staple, a warning to anyone foolish enough to test her razor-sharp instincts. Beside her sat Chief Justice John Roberts, 69, the epitome of judicial authority, whose measured tone and constitutional expertise had shaped some of the most pivotal Supreme Court decisions in modern history. His rare appearance outside the marble halls of the Supreme Court signaled the gravity of the moment, a moment that felt less like a trial and more like a political execution. The pairing was extraordinary, born from a rare congressional subpoena that authorized a joint civilian constitutional court hearing, an experiment never before attempted in American history. The legal grounds were murky, but the political stakes were crystal clear. John Kennedy, a vocal and influential senator, was in the crosshairs of a system determined to silence him. Kennedy stood calmly, his hands clasped his face, betraying no hint of fear, despite the combined legal firepower aimed at him. Known for his folksy eloquence and unyielding commitment to challenging the status quo, he had become a thorn in the side of powerful interests. The charges leveled against him, misuse of congressional funds, ethics violations, and conspiracy to obstruct justice, were crafted to not only strip him of his Senate seat, but also to tarnish his reputation beyond repair. Conviction would mean more than the end of his career. It could land him behind bars. The accusations painted a picture of a man who had allegedly funneled taxpayer money into personal ventures and used his platform to mislead the public for political gain. For Kennedy's supporters, this was nothing short of a political hit job, a calculated move to neutralize a senator who refused to bow to pressure. For his detractors, it was a long-overdue reckoning for a politician they claimed had crossed ethical lines. The courtroom buzzed with reporters, legal scholars, and congressional colleagues from both sides of the aisle, all packed into the gallery like spectators at a gladiatorial match. Outside, the nation was glued to their screens, with CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC dedicating wall-to-wall coverage to what was being called the trial of the century. Social media was already ablaze with hashtags like #JusticeForKennedy and a "Hold Them Accountable" trending in a fierce tug-of-war. The tension was palpable, a storm brewing in the silence as every eye turned to the bench. Judge Judy leaned forward, her signature reading glasses glinting under the courtroom lights, and fixed Kennedy with a stare that had broken countless defendants on her TV show. "Senator Kennedy," She began, her voice dripping with skepticism. "I've been dealing with folks who think they're slicker than a snake in a rainstorm for over 40 years. You're standing here accused of some serious misdeeds, diverting congressional funds, playing fast and loose with ethics, and obstructing justice." "These documents," she said, holding up a thick folder marked with colored tabs, "show a pattern that'd make a con artist blush. Care to explain this to me, like I'm a child who just learned to tie their shoes?" Kennedy met her gaze, his expression steady, a faint smile playing at the corners of his mouth. He knew Judge Judy's game. Her theatrical interrogations were designed to rattle defendants, to make them stumble under the weight of her relentless pressure. But he wasn't one of her usual litigants, and he wasn't about to be intimidated. Before he could respond, Chief Justice Roberts adjusted his glasses and spoke, his voice calm but authoritative, cutting through the room like a blade. "Senator Kennedy, let's turn to the constitutional implications of your actions. Are you familiar with Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution, which addresses congressional privilege?" Kennedy nodded, his posture relaxed but attentive. Good. Roberts continued, pulling out a leather-bound legal brief. "While you enjoy certain protections for legislative activities, those protections don't extend to criminal behavior or ethical breaches. The financial records Judge Shindlin referenced suggest a troubling misuse of resources well outside the scope of your constitutional immunity." Roberts's words were precise, his argument a carefully constructed scaffold meant to trap Kennedy in a web of legal precedent. He went on, his tone growing sharper. "Furthermore, your public statements, particularly on social media, have often contained exaggerations that could be construed as misleading the public for financial gain. For example, we have evidence of claims you made about congressional procedures that were factually inaccurate. Yet these statements coincided with spikes in campaign donations. The founders never intended for elected officials to exploit their platforms in this way. This isn't just politics. It's a potential violation of public trust." Judge Judy jumped back, in her voice rising with indignation. "Let me make this crystal clear, Senator. You don't get to waltz into Congress, throw around folksy one-liners, and think you're above the law. I've seen every trick in the book, sob stories, deflections, you name it. These financial records show you funneling taxpayer money into your own projects, paying staff to churn out viral content during work hours. You think because you've got 1 million followers online, you're untouchable. I was making people regret lying to me before you ever stepped foot in Washington." The gallery stirred, a murmur rippling through the crowd as her words landed like punches. She leaned back, arms crossed, her signature pose, signaling she was just getting started. Kennedy remained unfazed, his eyes scanning the room, taking in the cameras, the reporters, and the weight of the moment. He knew this wasn't just about him, it was about setting a precedent that could be used to target any politician who dared to speak out too loudly. The charges were a carefully crafted weapon designed by conservative legal scholars to blur the line between political speech and criminality. Success here would open the door to similar prosecutions, a tool to silence dissenting voices across the political spectrum.